Well, hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. So I don't know if you heard, but RFK Jr. and Secretary Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation, were in the airport today, basically touting Make America Travel Healthy again. And this is a great idea. It can be difficult to find healthy options inside the airport. They want to put pull-up bars and steps in the airport so you can get your blood flowing, maybe some play areas for the kids. It'd be nice to get them tired out before getting on a plane where they're yelling and screaming. So they did this little demonstration, but here's the deal. $1 billion worth of taxpayer dollars to help infuse healthy options into the airport. I love the ideas of healthy options. I'm not sure this is where we should be spending taxpayer dollars, though. I think free markets ought to take over. Let the private companies decide for themselves. We're going to play some clips from RFK Jr. and Secretary Duffy. We're going to get to our guest. Dr. Tapper is with us. And Robert Redfield, if you can believe it, the former CDC director is now basically saying pull these COVID shots off of the market. I don't blame them. Speaking of COVID shots, do you have the ultimate spike detox? You ought to. His quote, Robert Redford's quote, basically, is the COVID shot is a spike protein production facility. That's what it turns your body into, and we know that's the problem with the spike protein. This ultimate spike detox can rid your body of that spike protein, and it will help you fend off all kinds of stuff. Even if you've had COVID and never took the shot, you want to think about taking this as a daily supplement, the ultimate spike detox from the wellness company, twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off. Visit the website there for all kinds of supplements, prescription medications, including ivermectin, and those medical kits with a whole slew of prescription medications in them. All right, we'll talk about that a little bit more, but let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, welcome, everybody. I want to bring in Director of Epigenetics for the Wellness Company. Dr. Ben Tapper is with us. Dr. Tapper, it's great to have you on the program.
Yeah, Grant, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
All right, you're a healthy guy. I could tell just by looking at you from shoulders up. It is difficult to find healthy options in the airport, and I think bringing healthy options to the airport is a great move. I don't know if I want $1 billion of taxpayer money going to this. Your thoughts?
I mean, I agree. I think, Thomas Jefferson said it best. If the people let the government decide what foods they eat, what medicines they take, their bodies will soon be in a sorry state as those souls who live under tyranny. Again, I don't want taxpayers. I don't want my children paying for this, my children's children. I mean, $1 billion is a lot of money. There's a lot of taxpayer money going into this. I think they can influence this by, maybe making incentives for these companies to offer healthier foods. But I agree. I mean, most of the food in the airport is nutritionally bankrupt. It's fried foods. It's highly processed foods. They're using seed oils. You name it. This is where healthy foods go to die. Healthy diets go to die. And so this is a real issue.
This is RFK Jr. talking about. Now, let me say this, too. This money apparently is coming from, go figure, some bill that was passed during the Biden administration, so the money's there. This is not new money from the Trump administration. They're just figuring out better ways to use this money. I think that's sometimes an excuse in Washington for people to say, okay, well, we got the money, so let's spend it, instead of putting it to something that may benefit us. But, in the end, you got to be smart about what you eat, and I don't think government can force you to eat healthy. You got to really want that. But let me play RFK Jr., and then I'll get your comments on that, Doc.
Sean has 9 kids. I have 7 kids. We both know what it's like to travel in the airport. There's 3 million Americans a day who go through airports, and it's not, in the past, it has not been a healthy experience for them. I fly typically over the past 30 years, probably average 250 days a year in airports, and I can tell you that this is where healthy diets go to die. The food that's available in the airport, a lot of it tastes very good, but it's not very good for you. It's deep fried food, it's sugar bombs, it's ultra processed foods, and all of them are going to leave you sicker than before you ate them.
All right, so he basically backed up what you just said, Doc, where healthy diets go to die.
That's 100% right. I mean, think about it. The most of the food there is, it looks better, it smells better, it tastes better, but it's nutritionally bankrupt foods. So, these are highly processed, chemical-ridden foods that are, literally they're nutritionally bankrupt foods. And we have to ask ourselves why. We have a real epidemic of chronic disease in this country, and it's tied to the diets, to the foods that we're putting into our body. And let's face it, the foods that we eat can be the best forms of medicine or the slowest forms of poison. And our health industry really turns a blind eye to the food industry, and our food industry really turns a blind eye to health. So there is a real disconnect, and I understand RFK's position here. He's trying to connect the two. He's really trying to fill the void here. I understand that, but pushing more government involved in this area is not the solution, in my opinion. I'm glad he's talking about this and raising awareness, but again, there's other ways around it.
I will say this: I travel a lot. You can find healthy options. You just have to look. And I tell people, too, you can go to McDonald's and find a healthy option. Their salads are actually not bad. I mean, you can eat a salad from McDonald's, and you can even get grilled chicken with it. Now, there may be the processed stuff involved in all of it, but if you're in a pinch, you can find a healthy option. I wonder if the reason why there's so much junk in the airports is because that's what people want.
Well, I mean, people vote with their dollars, and that's it. It's convenience. It's a convenience factor. This is why these processed foods are so successful, is because people are choosing those foods. And you're right. Maybe if we have a little bit of self-control and discipline here, and not just indulge in these foods that's easy and convenient, maybe our health will start improving here. So I think really having that self-control and discipline, and realizing what foods to buy, maybe it's just an education issue. Maybe people need to be informed on what foods to buy, and maybe to look and having a keen eye for what's healthy and what's not.
Yeah. In the end, you got to really want it. Now, another part of their idea, and this I kind of like, I don't know if I'd take advantage of it, but they want to put pull-up bars, little workout areas in airports around the country. Now, some airports don't have the room for this. DFW has some terminals where I fly out of a lot that does have room. They got some terminals you couldn't put one of these. It's too thin and narrow to do that. But Secretary Duffy talked about this and spots for mothers, for nursing, and all kinds of interesting things. Here's Secretary Duffy.
Pretty wide open on what airports want to ask for a grant, but it might be, I want to expand the play areas for kids. I want additional nursing pods for nursing mothers. Maybe I want a workout area where people might get some blood flow and doing some pull-ups or some step-ups in the airport. But it could be any range of things. Maybe you want to work, I know this is TSA, but we're going to help on this as well. Maybe you want to have a different lane for families to get through TSA. How can we make the experience better as you come through an airport? $1 billion is going to go to that.
All right. So in the end here, when you think about this, Dr. Tapper, one, I don't know about getting people all sweaty and then walking on a plane, and then I got to sit next to somebody that's sweaty after they were working out. The sad reality is I don't think anybody's going to use these workout areas if they actually put them in.
I hate to say it, but how impressive was RFK Jr. Doing 20 pull-ups there?
It's pretty darn amazing, isn't it?
I mean, the dude's 70 years old. I mean, that to me is pretty impressive. I mean, I do pull-ups all the time, and he, busted out 20 pull-ups there. I think that's pretty impressive. But I think you're right. People they're in dress clothes. I mean, this dude's in a dress shirt and tie, and so is RFK. Doing these pull-ups probably is not a realistic thing. But I think if they had maybe, you take $1 billion, maybe buy some healthy options, have almonds in a bag, some cashews in a bag, and a vending machine. And in order to purchase those, you have to do 20 air squats or 20 push-ups. You know what I mean? That to me is a better option than having just a pull-up bar, because nobody's going to do who wants to do a pull-up bar? There's no incentive there.
I think it's the opposite, Doc. I think you're on to something, but check out my tweak. If you buy the cashews, you don't have to do any pull-ups. But if you go to Wetzel's Pretzels and you get the cinnamon, then you got to do the 20 push-ups before you
there
buy
you go.
the junk food.
Right. I think that's that's it. That's it. There's a solution.
Man, oh, man. All right. Hey, now we got another situation with the COVID shot. Dr. Robert Redfield, we all remember him, white beard. I had my issues with him. I didn't really trust him fully. But he comes out now in an interview that's being released today by the Epic Times, and he says he thinks the COVID shot should be eliminated due to too many, quote, unknowns. And he says it turns the body into a spike protein production facility. Your thoughts on Dr. Redfield coming out and saying that?
Well, I'm thankful he's saying it now, but he's kind of a day late and a dollar short. We have these vaccines they were experimental, and they're still experimental. We're still learning as we go here. I mean, these are mRNA spike toxin, factories. 100%. He's not, what he's saying is 100% spot on, but the spike detox is 100% a real thing. It's causing more cardiovascular issues than ever before, more blood, poisoning issues than ever before. Look at the amount of strokes and myocarditis and pericarditis that has literally increased over the past few years here. It's a real issue, and we need to get this vaccine off the market. But in fact, they're not hiding the fact that they want to keep pushing mRNA. They want to make all vaccines mRNA by 2030. This is a real thing and a real issue. So we need to be talking about this, and I'm thankful to be talking about it. But the mRNA, the spike thing is a very real thing. And they're, I've talked to different embalmers over the years, and a lot of these embalmers are afraid to speak out what they're finding, what they're seeing here with embalming these bodies. And a lot of doctors these are post-mortem clots, but a lot of these embalmers are pulling out this white fibrous obstructions that they've never seen prior to the vaccine. And it's a real thing. It's causing a lot of cardiovascular issues, a lot of inflammatory issues. And so again, I endorse what he's saying, that we need to pull these vaccines off the market. We need to do this now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the science is there that literally proves it. Why do you think it is, Dr. Tapper, that mainstream media refuses to see the science that is there? In fact, they deny the science. They pretend like it doesn't exist.
Well, when you look at the mainstream, look who is their funding coming from. That's the number one thing. I mean, paid by Pfizer, brought to you by Pfizer. I mean, the number one contributors in their campaign is contributions are from Pfizer or Moderna or a lot of these big pharmaceutical companies. So they don't want to shoot themselves in the foot here, but they're afraid to raise awareness on it. And so that is another real issue. I mean, Big Pharma spends 19 times more on advertisements than they do research. Let that sink in for a minute. And so, the truth is not going to be told here about a lot of these vaccines. It's a $1 trillion industry.
Listen to this CBS correspondent talk about children deaths and COVID. It's pretty stunning that she's still going down this road of claiming 2,000 kids died of COVID. The numbers just aren't there to support that. And she says it with such conviction. Listen.
There is no definitive evidence that COVID vaccines cause death in children. No definitive evidence that COVID vaccines are dangerous for children.
Okay.
What we do know is COVID infection is dangerous. Again, over 2,000 children have died from COVID since the start of the pandemic. And that is what you want to guard against.
What do you make of those comments?
Well, it's propaganda first and foremost. She might believe that, and she might have been fed data that would correlate to what she's talking about. But the data has been manipulated. It's been tailored. It's been doctored. This is one of the things that I've been raising awareness on ever since prior to the pandemic, that they manipulate the data. They've been doing that for 15 years, as much as I've been looking into this. They manipulate the data in the National Vital Statistics System, which is the data division of the CDC. They manipulate that data to coerce people, to scare people half to death, to coerce them to get these vaccines. And that's a real problem. It's called, you're breaking the law, you're manipulating data to coerce people and lie to the people. So if you looked at the real data with COVID and the death rate with children, children had a 99.9999% success rate at just healing and fighting COVID on their own without any medical intervention. So the whole fact that she's saying that 2,000 children died, that is actually a lie. The people that did die were actually following the hospital protocols being pushed down by administrative doctors like Fauci. We had drugs like remdesivir, remdesivir had a long track record of causing renal failure, organ failure, and the list goes on. And people that were on this remdesivir drug had a higher death rate than if they were to stay at home and just fight COVID on their own. So the protocols were what was killing people, and the protocols here need to be investigated. So, I like to see that the data that showed The people that went to the hospital, the medical route, and followed the top-down protocols versus staying at home. And I guarantee you the people that stayed home recovered just fine without any medical intervention here from these protocols.
You know, you sent me this clip, and I think this gets into what you were saying. Was she the director of health in Illinois during COVID? Is this who this woman is?
Yes. Yes.
And she explains what constitutes a COVID death. Now, this actually was during COVID. And I don't know, the media must have buried this. I've actually never seen this clip. I'm grateful that you sent it to me, and I want to play it for people because once you start to hear what in Illinois, a deep blue state that I'm sure was all vax, hell-bent on vax, this admission to me is not hard to believe, but it's stunning that she actually said it out loud. Listen.
I want to be clear in terms of the definition of people dying of COVID. So the case definition is very simplistic. It means at the time of death, it was a COVID positive diagnosis. So that means that if you were in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that that was the cause of the death, but they had COVID at the time of death. I hope that's helpful.
This may be why the CBS medical correspondent is using bogus statistics, because we all remember people dying in motorcycle accidents, and then it's labeled a COVID death.
Bingo. 100%. I mean, the data this is called manipulation of data, Grant. It's illegal. They broke the law here. I mean, listen to what she was saying. If you were already going to die and are already on hospice, it didn't matter. And if you tested positive for COVID, let's say you have stage 4 cancer and you're on your way out and you just happen to test positive for COVID. Guess what? They label the cause of death COVID. I had a good friend of mine here in Omaha, Nebraska, that had a cremation business. He goes out and they pick up the bodies and they have to, they cremate it. But he had a gentleman that died of a suicide gun wound to the head, and they labeled his cause of death COVID. And he's like, what? And this is what opened his eyes. He said, this is corruption. It's not right. Actually, it's so disrespectful for the family, because you tell the people that it's the cause of death was COVID, but in reality, it was a very obvious reason, and that's manipulation of data. And they were pushing this data down the throats of the American people to push this agenda, and that is 100% illegal. And there should be justice here, and we're not seeing that.
No, we're not. That's what everybody wants, accountability for so many things. I mean, you can go to J6 and the persecution of President Trump and other conservatives, and then you bring in this whole COVID nonsense. And they were pushing the deaths, obviously, as you know, Dr. Tapper, but to increase the number of deaths so they would scare you into getting this vaccine. And the vaccine 100%. Has done great damage to people. I've done so much on this now, as you have, that it's beyond a shadow of a doubt to me that this needs to be pulled. Dr. Redfield saying that it needs to be pulled now. They ought to get it off. Can you tell me, this is the wellness company's ultimate spike detox. This really helps people who took the vaccine, but also people who have had COVID and have that spike protein in their system. Can you talk to me about ultimate spike detox?
So the ultimate spike detox is, in my opinion, I think it should be just the utmost importance as any other multivitamin. It should be, it's my top 3 recommended supplements to be taking, because it is the best of the best on the market that we know how to really detoxify the spike protein here. So this is something that everybody should be on. It has dandelion root. It has the nattokinase. It helps to break and detoxify the body and help combat against the spike toxin. So this is something I think every citizen should be on, whether you got the vaccine or not. This is something that I take on the regular. I've never been vaccinated, and so I do recommend taking this, even if you, like I said, haven't taken the vaccine. There is shedding that's occurring. So if you come in close proximity with someone that has been vaccinated, which you just never know, you go to the grocery store, you go to the airport, you just never know. I mean, people are getting these boosters. So shedding is a real thing. So taking this is going to help really prevent the spike toxin effects. So I highly recommend getting on the supplement.
All right, that sounds good. There's another product out too, which I want to tell people about, which is phenomenal. Those aches and pains that never go away. Well, ice, heat, pain pills. They barely touch that pain we're talking about. What if you could target at the cellular level instead of just numbing? That's exactly what TheraBlue was designed to do. TheraBlue is a next-generation pain-relieving peptide gel that works deeper than the skin's surface, powered by AQA, Aqua Molecular Delivery Technology. It delivers peptides and botanicals directly into muscle tissue for legit, long-lasting relief. Its hero ingredient is copper peptide. It promotes collagen synthesis, reduces inflammation, and helps accelerate repair. NAD Plus restores cellular energy to aid recovery, while methylene blue protects your mitochondria and supports endurance. Natural extracts like MSM, turmeric, white willow bark, anica, ginger soothe inflammation, while methyl camphor and eucalyptus oil deliver instant cooling relief. It absorbs fast and leaves your skin refreshed, not greasy. Apply a thin layer, massage until absorbed, and let your body experience lasting recovery. Get 10% off by visiting twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off. Move freely again. This is TheraBlue, and I will tell you, folks, have used the TheraBlue. It is a great gel. It goes on very cleanly, and it deep penetrates. So like joint pain, I'm telling you, it gets in deep. It's not just one of those creams you rub on and then it gets cold, and then 2 minutes later your pain is back. twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT. All right, up next on this hit parade that we're talking about, glyphosate. Am I saying that right, Dr. Tapper? Glyphosate. Okay, this is typically what people would know as Roundup, correct? The
Yes.
Pesticide? Is that what it is?
It's a pesticide. It's a systemic pesticide that is used. Yes.
Okay. Pesticide, Monsanto behind this. There's been so much talk about the dangers of Roundup, glyphosate. Well, now the medical journal, Regulatory Toxicology and Pharmacology, has retracted a year 2000 study that said glyphosate was safe. And they now believe that the entire study was a setup job. And it sounds so much like the pharmaceutical industry when I hear about these medical journals where, in the pharmaceutical industry, they have the pharmaceutical companies writing the scientific studies that said everything's so safe, like the vaccine. This one, apparently, according to this journal, they had ghostwriters writing the article. They had financial ties to Monsanto, and they misrepresented authorship. So the whole thing was made up. It sounds just like what happened during COVID, only this has to do with Roundup and pesticides, big pharma with vaccine shots. Everything's about money, nothing about safety, Doc.
100%. Grant, this blows my mind, to be honest with you. How on God's green earth is glyphosate still allowed to be used on our soil? We spray 300 million pounds of this every year on American soil. Okay? It is a known carcinogen. You look at the lawsuits that are against Monsanto, there are over 100,000 lawsuits submitted against Monsanto against glyphosate. This is a real epidemic in our country. Not only that, they tested urine in our children. 80 to 90% of children have found fragments of glyphosate in their urine. Okay, this is not a conspiracy. So Monsanto has been found guilty on many accounts. They have paid out billions of dollars against glyphosate for causing cancer. This is a real issue, and we need to get this out of our soil. We need to stop spraying this on our soil, because look at the rates of cancer. 1 out of 2 people will get cancer in this country. It is a real issue. Yeah. So please, I thank you for talking about this, something that is near and dear to my heart. I have lost family members due to cancer that I think have been poisoned by glyphosate. I know patients that have been poisoned by glyphosate. This is a real issue, and it needs to stop.
Well, I saw this in Focal Points. It's Dr. McCullough's Substack, and he works with Nicholas Holscher, who's a great researcher. I know you know them. in that article I saw, glyphosate has been linked, according to another study, to 10 different cancers. They studied this in rats, and it's pretty clear. Now, what becomes the question to me is, why isn't there more outrage from the public? Is it because this information is basically buried, or does the public just subconsciously want to ignore it and they don't want to believe that they could possibly be being poisoned alive?
Well, think of this, Grant. We have big ag is a very, very profitable industry. Okay, I always say the head of the cartel is big pharma. The neck of the cartel is big ag. They are censoring this information. They put out bogus studies that say, "Oh, glyphosate is safe." You had a representative of Monsanto at one time on record saying that he can drink this stuff and he'd be just fine. And then he was challenged and he said, "F you," and he got off and walked off. This is a real thing. So glyphosate there's a lot of bogus studies out there. They're not talking about it. They're not bringing it and talking about it on the mainstream. And so it is there is an agenda to protect this information. And, information is one of our most valuable precious commodities. And we need to get this information out to the people, because this is literally causing so many issues. It's not just cancers, Grant. This glyphosate is it's like a mineral chelator. It messes with the microbiome. It depletes the bacteria in the gut, which can lead to autoimmune disorders. Look at the rise in autoimmune. We have over a 10,000% increase in autoimmune disorders since the 1980s. Why is that? I think vaccinations can play a role, but also the poisoning of our food. So our food is being poisoned, and it's wreaking havoc. But I live on an aquifer, on a well. I worry about this glyphosate contaminating our well water, because when they test for wells, the well, to see if it's safe, they don't measure glyphosate. They don't measure forever chemicals. What they measure for it does it have nitrates or E. coli? And once they test positive for that, you're good to go. Your well's safe to drink out of. But really, they're not measuring for glyphosate or TCE or other forever chemicals that are in the well water and the aquifers that have been there for many, many years. And it's poisoning the people. So think about the stink. If people really knew the truth about the glyphosate, it would cause a revolution overnight.
What do you think the short-term solution is? I mean, we could try to get our lawmakers to ban it and outlaw it, and I think that needs to happen. But short-term solution, you're just a regular everyday person. You don't want your family ingesting this stuff. Is it bioorganic? I mean, sometimes I don't even know if it's really organic when I show it. And then I'm like, should I pay the extra money for that? And I usually don't. Can you wash the vegetables and stuff that you're eating enough to get this stuff off? I mean, what's the legitimate solution to this?
Well, I think knowing your farmer, knowing where your food comes from, I think is step one. Growing your own food. I don't drink anything out of our water systems, even though I have a complete reverse osmosis system with mineral replacements, all that, UV lights, you name it. I got an oxidizer on my water systems. I don't drink it. I bathe in my well water. I do that, and I brush. But all the water I drink is, I do ultra purified spring water that I buy, and I drink out of that. And it's all glass. I don't drink out of plastic anymore. This is something that I would recommend doing. But, I know not everybody can do that. So when you do have these systems, there are water filtration systems that can help get the glyphosate, the chlorine and the fluoride out of the water.
Is it coming from the water when it's affecting human beings, this glyphosate, or is it on the vegetables? Like, I was always under the impression they're spraying it on the vegetables, and I'm eating the vegetables, and that's how I get it. Yeah,
both, Grant. It's both. And so it gets into the vegetables, it gets on our food supply. Not only that, it can get into our meat, because, when cows drink, 50, 60 gallons of water a day, so this glyphosate can get in their organ systems. So we're going to consume this meat. Not only that, TCE, other forever chemicals, do the same thing. It's not just the glyphosate. We have other chemicals out there that are forever chemicals that are used in our farming industry that are getting to the soil that the animals are consuming, and that we consume these animals. So it's a vicious cycle. It literally is a vicious cycle. This is why it's so important that we know our farmers, support organic farming best we can, and grow our own food.
Is there any effort to test water system water to see if this is in the water systems? Has anyone done that?
So the Corps of Engineers here, like in Iowa, they have grants set aside to test water systems, but people just don't know about it. They don't know about the grants. They don't know about the money that's set aside for water testing for a lot of these forever chemicals, and it's a real thing. So we need to reach out to the Corps of Engineers. There are third-party water systems that will test for glyphosate or other TCE. So I encourage you, especially if you're on a well water, even if you're on city water, test your water. Test and order some of these third-party kits and really look for the not just nitrates, but look for TCE or glyphosate. There are tests you can do, and I think you can get even home tests to test the levels yourself for glyphosate.
Yeah, so important. Dr. Ben Tapper, it's always great talking to you. Where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, just go to Dr. Ben Tapper on X with the number 1 symbol. On Instagram, I've been deleted 6 different times, but you can just search my name there, Dr. Ben Tapper on Instagram, Facebook as well. So yeah, thanks so much, Grant.
Oh, absolutely. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Merry Christmas to you, and we will be talking again soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Thanks again. God bless.
Merry Christmas to you as well. Okay. Folks, before I let you go, I do want to remind you, this program with such important information brought to you by the Wellness Company, twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT. One of the most important things you can get is the Old Faithful. This is how the Wellness Company started. It's with these prescription medication kits. Every family should have one in their home. If you don't, you are not prepared for an emergency. This is 8 of the most common prescription medications needed, including ivermectin in here, all made out to you. And a doctor will call you to, make sure you're not allergic to anything. They'll set it up just for you, just right. twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. A whole slew of supplements. The TheraBlue I told you about. The Ultimate Spike Detox that I told you about. And don't forget, my ultimate favorite is the Parasite Cleanse, a total parasite detox that is creating so much havoc on our bodies, including causing cancer. Get these parasites out of your system. The Wellness Company can help you with its total detox parasite cleanse. twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT. We will see you all on the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. God bless you all. We'll see you then. Stinchfield's Army rolls too, of course.